Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Record of Ragnarok chapters 67 and 68. You may be thinking, Misk, you're a little late to the party. The translations came out like 3 days ago. What are you doing? Well, in my defense, I had other things I was doing, and that I was more interested in doing. Not to say that these aren't good chapters this month, because they are. I just had some things that were personally a little bit of a higher priority. But now I'm here, so none of that matters. We have a few things to talk about from this month's chapters. I think more of it will be in relation to the first chapter that we got, because that's Beelzebub's backstory, and obviously that's going to have a few more things to talk about than the chapter that's just the introduction for the fighters for the most part. First and most important thing to go over, Beelzebub's relation to Satan. That's right, actual Satan, just full-on named Satan. Not the devil, not Lucifer, Satan. This also answers the question as to whether or not Beelzebub is literally Satan or not. Which has been a big question for most of us for a while now, because if he is the Lord of Hell, Satan, or just Beelzebub, one of the crown princes of Hell, would, generally speaking, be fairly indicative of how powerful he is. Because, I mean, being Satan, he is the leader of Hell, technically. Not really in universe, because that was Hades, but now Hades is dead, so I guess there's a bit more competition now. For starters, I really like the design for Satan. I like how horrific it is. It reminds me a little bit of the classical design for Satan from the Divine Comedy, where he has like 3 different faces and stuff. He's just this really weird, almost chimeric monster thing. And that makes sense. I mean, he is supposed to be the embodiment of all evil in the world. So he should look like an evil entity, not like a bad guy, not like an asshole. I mean, he should look evil, in the purest sense of the word evil. Now, it's Beelzebub's understanding of things that he himself is actually Satan, and I don't think that's the case, because it seems like the story of Satan, the legend, the myth of Satan, has been around since long before Beelzebub was born. That's why everyone says that he's cursed by Satan. Given Satan's design, I think he's probably a primordial deity like Gaia. Both of them have very weird, sort of eldritch alien designs. They are not very humanoid, which is very different from pretty much all of the other gods. Basically, all of the gods look fairly humanoid. They look like people. But Gaia and Satan do not look like people. They look like aliens or some sort of biblically accurate angels, even though that term itself is not entirely accurate. It's just usually, in most media, we only see, like, up to the archangels depicted, and then the really freaky alien-looking ones are just all of the higher-tier angels. But I digress. I think the most likely scenario, the most likely case, is that Beelzebub is effectively either a vessel or conduit for Satan to exert power and influence through. So it's not that Beelzebub is Satan, he's just kind of an outlet or a tool for Satan. And what does Satan like doing? Well, he likes destroying whatever Beelzebub loves, because he's an asshole. Whenever Beelzebub truly loves something, he enters something called the demonic destrudo, in which he just completely loses consciousness and proceeds to kill all the people that he loves. I looked this up. A destrudo is supposed to be just an instinctual act of destruction, just acting on pure instinct, not even thinking about it. It's actually described as like the polar opposite to libido. So rather than an instinct to reproduce, it's an instinct to destroy things, which is quite interesting. I think this is definitely setting up Tesla inspiring some kind of love or admiration in Beelzebub, which will then activate the Destrido, and that'll be kind of Beelzebub's transformation, because I do imagine that Beelzebub's going to have some kind of actual transformation, whether it's his biological experiments or Satan manifesting through his body. That wouldn't surprise me too much. Beelzebub does seem like one of the most likely candidates to have a physical transformation, turn into a big fly monster or something. Also, that fly monster design we see at the start of the chapter, I swear to God, is that not the Beelzebub design from Shin Megami Tensei? I've never played the games, but I've seen the design around, well, quite a bit, usually involving Ragnarok discussions prior to and actually after us getting Beelzebub's design. So I have a feeling that's maybe possibly some kind of reference, unless the Shin Megami Tensei design is a reference to some other piece of artwork that I'm not aware of. Beelzebub is befriended by Lucifer and a couple other angels who normally are sometimes considered alternate names for Lucifer or just other crown princes of hell. This is very interesting, because obviously Beelzebub kills them, which means that they never had a chance to fall from heaven, which is just, kind of an interesting little thing. I quite like Lucifer's design. He reminds me a lot of Kuruma Tatsuki from Usogui, which is a phenomenal manga, by the way. You should all go and read it. It's something about the suit and the big stupid hair. And honestly, kind of his facial structure. Really, he just kind of looks quite a bit like him to me for some reason. I don't know. He was a cool guy. Then after Beelzebub kills those three and then tries to figure out what the fuck happened, because he doesn't remember anything that happened, he meets Lilith, who's just called a goddess. She doesn't get kind of any sort of epithet or anything. I'm curious about what her exact role in universe would have been, because I know in Jewish belief, I think, she was actually Adam's first wife prior to meeting Eve, but I don't think that's the case in Ragnarok, just because seems like Eve was just sort of almost always there for Adam, so I don't think that was the case. And I'm not really familiar with what else her deal would have been other than just being some kind of demon or underworld deity. She does look quite a bit more demonic than most of the other people that Beelzebub meets. She also has these face tattoos, and tattoos just kind of like over her body, that look quite similar to Hades. Which also leads into me saying that she looks a lot like Hades for some reason. Quite strange. I'm wondering if that's just sort of a thing amongst the underworld deities, especially since he ends up getting it himself later, but I'm assuming that's probably just more in kind of like a memorial to Lilith. Anyway, Beelzebub wants to die. So sad. Turns out it's not like sort of an ego thing, him trying to create something greater than himself. He just literally wants to die. Though I question why he doesn't just walk up to one of the really strong gods and just say, "Hey, could you please blow my fucking head off?" Because, I mean, there are quite a few that could. Zeus certainly could. Thor most certainly could. I don't think Thor would really give a shit. Yeah, I think Thor would probably be the most likely case. It would just be like, "Thor, can you please kill me?" And he would probably just be like, "Okay, I guess," because Thor doesn't really give a shit. Yeah, that's really most of the significant stuff to talk about from this month. And that's most of the stuff in the first chapter, because the second one, it's just the intros. Beelzebub's epithet is anathema, which usually means one who is despised. I had thought that it meant one that is kind of like the opposite to something, but I guess I was wrong. And it makes sense, because all the gods revile Beelzebub. They either hate him and or are scared of him, because anyone that gets too close to him ends up dying. He just sort of is an omen. He's a bad omen. He is an augur of misfortune upon all of those that come into contact with him. And I mean, this has proven to be the case thus far. He interacted with Zerafuku, and you know how that turned out. Hades went to go get help from him with saving Adamas, and then, Hades ended up dying. Who knows what's going to end up happening with Adamas? Odin has had a little bit of an interaction with Beelzebub. But we'll see how that goes. It doesn't seem like he's necessarily been conspiring with Beelzebub, but, We'll see. We'll see if the curse of Beelzebub continues to apply to, fucking everyone that he interacts with. It'd be kind of funny if it did. I would find that quite humorous. They're quite clearly setting up what this sort of dynamic is between Beelzebub and Tesla. Beelzebub is the dark god. Tesla is the child of light, born during a lightning storm, who tried to bring humanity closer to the gods. A person who has tried to improve the lives of everyone, whereas Beelzebub is someone that just does nothing but ruin or end the lives of everyone who gets close to him. So we're clearly setting up a very big contrast between the two of them, which is good. This is the sort of stuff you would typically want to happen in your introduction to the fight. And we're already kind of setting up the dynamic, because Beelzebub kind of does the first attack of the round. He just sort of taps his cane into the ground and causes a big rupture to happen and destroy one of the pillars, and everyone thinks this is magic or something, but Tesla's like, no, that's science. And it's pretty obvious science too. I mean, he's just doing kinetic force. He's probably just hitting some kind of pressure point in the ground or something like that. I imagine that's what the vast majority of this fight is going to be. It's going to be Beelzebub pulling out really weird stuff, or just crazy anime shit, and Tesla trying to figure out how it works and overcome it. Which will probably be quite a bit easier because of the Super Automaton suit that he's wearing. I think it's called Super Automaton B, but it's not a letter B, it's a symbol thing, so it might not actually be a B. I'm thinking this thing definitely has some kind of transformation or different combat modes, because that would just make sense. We have so many fighters now who are able to basically do different fighting styles or forms. It would make the most sense for Tesla to create some kind of battle suit that would have that sort of versatility going for it, because it would be dumb if he didn't. It would be kind of short-sighted, and that is something Tesla certainly is not. So needless to say, I'm very excited to see how this fight turns out. Once again, I was right in predicting this matchup. Yes, indeed, I was correct. Far in advance. When did I make that first prediction? I think it was a year ago now or something. Pretty sure it was not too long after Beelzebub got introduced. I don't remember exactly when. But I feel pretty good about that. And considering the setup we've had thus far for both of these characters, I'm quite looking forward to this fight. Now, once again, I did really look forward to the last fight, and we saw how that one turned out. But I have faith. I have faith that this fight is going to at least be good. It'll at least be pretty decent, I think. Just because seemingly both fighters have a lot more going on than the previous fighters did. So, we got a lot more potential here, which will hopefully not be squandered. And frankly, I just think the setup we've had for both of them thus far suggests that they're going to be going some places with this fight. I like that we had the backstory for Beelzebub this early, especially since it's a longer backstory, because it's not interrupting the pacing of the fight. That's usually kind of a problem with Ragnarok, especially because it's a monthly series, that whenever we have to do the backstory for a character, it takes a whole month out of the fight. And while the backstories are usually pretty good, this is a fighting manga, and we're here because we want to see the fights. So if we go a whole month without seeing any of the round, well, kind of kills the pacing a little bit. Just look at quite a few parts of the last round. And various parts of the previous rounds as well, Just kind of a consistent case for them. They're usually much better upon reread because you don't have the gaps, but still, we are here in the present reading the series, so it's something we have to take into consideration. Anyway, that's all for this month's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Record of Ragnarok chapter reviews every month. If you enjoy discussing Record of Ragnarok with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.